Eshani, aka Total Makeup Junkie 101. So today I'm going to be doing another palette video for you guys. You guys know that makeup companies have been releasing new palettes like it's going out of style, and there are so many new ones on the market to pick from. There are so many great ones out there, and this is yet another one for you to add to your wish list. This guy right here is the Kat Von D Serpentina palette. It is a brand new release from Kat Von D. It retails for $45. It's available on Sephora.com, Kat Von D's website, and it will be available in Sephora stores next week. In today's video, I will do a full review on this product, packaging, quality of the products that are inside. I will be doing some comparisons between the original or the older Kat Von D eyeshadow palettes, show you guys some side-by-sides, so you can decide for yourself if this palette is worth it. So let's jump right into the review portion of this video by discussing the outer packaging. It does come in a cardboard box that looks like this. It very closely mirrors the actual palette that is inside. This is what the actual palette looks like. It is gorgeous. It's got the glossy black Serpentina with that gold foiling, and then the back does have all of the products with the names of the products included in the palette, also in that gold foil. You can see that around the edge of the palette too, it does have beautiful designs. I think Kat Von D designs her outer packaging very, very nicely. It's very Kat Von D. I mean, you look at this palette and it really mirrors her personality and her aesthetic, and I love that she actually does design the outside of all of her palettes. I mean, these are like her hand-drawn designs, which I love. The palette itself is held shut by a decently strong magnet, and then this is what you're getting inside the palette itself. There is a long skinny mirror. This is just a little detailing little cross. And then that is what all of your shadows look like. You can see that this palette does include 8 actual pressed shadows as well as 1 shadow pigment. I do really like the actual packaging overall. It has a nice weight to it. It is just made of a cardboard, so it's really durable. But one thing I will say is that it is a little chunky. And the reason for that is really just because of this pigment. I mean, the pot of pigment is really tall compared to the actual shadow pans, and the shadows themselves are kind of dipped in quite a bit. I don't really know how I feel about the clunkiness of the palette, or just like the thickness and the weight of it, especially considering you're only really getting like 9 products in here. Moving into discussing the actual colors that you get in this palette, I think that the color selection is beautiful. I really love that she included, it's only 9 colors, but I feel like each and every color in here is really a unique shade. I think that's something that Kat Von D prides herself in, and it is something that I've pointed out in the past anytime I do a review on Kat Von D eyeshadow products, like her holiday palettes and stuff. I do feel like the shadow variety is very unique, and this is no exception. Texture-wise, these are phenomenal. If you guys are used to the texture of the Monarch or the Chrysalis palettes, or let's say the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye palette, you guys know that the texture of her shadows is phenomenal. They're all really, really pigmented, very blendable, very easy to work with. Now, I did want to quickly discuss this little pigment that is stuck here in the corner. I do like that she included a little bit more dimension in her palette. It's not just pressed shadows, but you also get a loose shadow that is included in the palette. I do realize that is the reason for the clunkiness of the packaging. So half of me kind of wishes it was included as an add-on or just like on the side. The actual packaging of the pigment itself is very, very standard. It is just kind of like a plasticky, you know, screw top packaging with the sifter, which is nice. So before I talk more about the quality and my overall thoughts on this palette, let's go ahead and jump into swatches of everything included in this palette so you can see how it looks on my skin tone. From left to right, we have the pressed shadows in Blood Milk, Medusa, Ankh, Queen, Hieroglyph, Nile, Scarab, and Venom. And then at the very end, you could see that is the loose pigment in Prophet. I feel like the swatches pretty much say it all. You can see that the quality of all of the shadows is really, really great. If I had to pick out one that was just not as good as the others, I would say that Blood Milk, the first kind of reddish color, just didn't have as much pigment as the other ones, but it's not chalky or patchy on the skin. I've actually used this palette a couple of times times since I got it, but every single time I've used it, I did feel the need to pull in another palette. More importantly, another neutral matte palette, something like the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye palette, or something like my Viseart Neutral Matte #1 palette. Just something that had some matte colors, some more very wearable colors for highlighting, for transitioning, for darkening up the outer corner. You can see I do feel like every single color in here, while it is unique and a couple of the colors do work really, really well together, I don't feel like it'll be very easy to achieve a full eye look only using this palette. I do think this second color here, Medusa, is absolutely stunning, and that is probably the color I kind of wish she included like a big pan of that color or like double the size, because that is the color that I have been working into looks using any of the other colors. I feel like that color can work really well with the blue, with the green, with the purple, or with these warm orangey reddish colors. It just works well with all colors. I do like that the pigment she included is that really bright, true yellow gold, because this palette is inspired by Cleopatra, and anytime I think of Cleopatra, I just think of that true, like, liquid gold. If you guys can tell, I did use this palette on my eyes today, and I really went with a true kind of serpent eye look, or what I thought like a serpent eye look is. So I did use Medusa on like the inner portion and the inner lid. I did bring in Scarab, which I think is probably my favorite shade in this palette. It is a gorgeous metallic emerald green. I patted that all over the rest of my lid. And then for all of the other colors, I did go ahead and use my Shade and Light Eye palette, because like I said, I did feel like I needed a good transition color, which I used this color and this color. I did darken it up with the black on the outer portion just to get that smoky, smudgy look, and then I did highlight with this color. Now I did want to do a couple of comparisons with some more of the very, very popular Kat Von D eyeshadow palettes, the Chrysalis, Monarch, the Interstellar palette, and the Shade and Light Eye palette. I just want to show them to you next to each other just so you have a visual representation of what the different colors look like compared. So we'll go ahead and start off by talking about the Chrysalis palette. I think this palette is discontinued from Kat Von D, but it is one that I know was very, very popular, so I'm sure many of you guys already own it. So here you can see those two side by side. Of course, the Serpentina palette is on the top and the Chrysalis palette is on the bottom. The only shade I would say is kind of similar is the royal blue that is in both of the palettes. Now let's go ahead and do a little comparison of the Monarch palette. This is kind of the counterpart to the Chrysalis palette. So here you have a little side by side of those two. Once again, Serpentina on the top, Monarch on the bottom. The only shade I would say is sort of similar, but not really, is that true orange shade that's in both of the palettes. But the one in the Monarch is matte, whereas the one in the Serpentina is shimmery. Now I just want to show you guys the comparison between the Interstellar palette. Once again, Serpentina on the top, Interstellar on the bottom. The only shade I would say is sort of similar, but not really, is the true purple that is in both of the palettes. But the one in the Serpentina palette is brighter and lighter, and the one in the Interstellar palette is darker and has a little bit of a shimmer. And then finally, I just want to do a quick side by side with the Shade and Light Eye palette. Honestly, nothing in this palette even comes close, but I figured I'd just show you anyways. And there you have it. Serpentina on the top, Shade and Light on the bottom. Like I said, nothing even comes close. Everything in the Shade and Light palette is completely matte, whereas most of the ones in the Serpentina palette are shimmery. There are only two truly matte colors in this palette, and that would be Blood Milk, which is that red, and then this one on the end, which is Venom, the purple. And because of that, I will say that any neutral matte eyeshadows you already have in your collection will be your new best friend, especially whenever you decide to use this palette. And I'm not even really heartbroken over that, because let's be honest, most of us probably already own some sort of neutral matte palette, and we probably need to start using it a little more. So by using this palette in combination with some neutral mattes you already have, you will get some amazing, unique, stunning looks. I promise you that. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say about this palette. I absolutely love it. If you can get your hands on it, definitely do. I don't know if it's limited edition, but I know it's been released in limited quantities. So I don't know if it's gonna be around forever, but get it if you're interested. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope this video was helpful, and I will talk to you guys in my next one on Monday. I will see you then. Bye. Hands can be removed out of this palette as well. They're just magnetized in. You can see there's this overall texture of all of the products in this palette is really soft and smooth and silky.